Welcome back to Just Chattin', and this is the series of videos we do on Thursday and Sunday evenings just for our own amusement. So, Audie is asleep on the chair behind me. He was a naughty kitty and spent the entire night outside last night. So, he's on my bad list, or maybe I'm on his bad list, I don't know. But it was warmer than usual overnight. It was above freezing, and I guess he was tired of being cooped up indoors. So he went out, he was glad to come back in, and now he's sleeping it off. And of course, he may show up. Yellow. The yellow is in the scarf, and I hope you can see it. It's bits of yellow all throughout this, but I know from a distance it's hard to see, but you can see it if you look up close. And this is for Catherine, for Lex's mom, for everyone coping with cancer. We are just sending our very, very best wishes out to all of you. And this evening, we have a weird and interesting assortment of, well, headlines. I was going to say news, but is any of this really news to us? I think we all know the direction this is going in. So, an interesting assortment of headlines, and we will get into that after the intro in 22 seconds. So let's start with what I consider to be the creepy bit. Nutmeg at the Invictus Games apparently didn't like where a woman in a wheelchair, and this is one of the disabled veterans, a woman in a wheelchair was located and took it upon herself to move the woman's wheelchair, clearly without asking permission because the woman was engaged in conversation with someone else at the time, and Nutmeg just went up to her and put her hands on the wheelchair and moved it. Like, wow. So there was a podcaster. I don't know who she is or what she does, but apparently she is blind, and totally blind, as I understand. And of course, she had made a number of comments to the media about it, including, that's invading somebody's space. When you are a person with disabilities, grabbing your wheelchair is like, grabbing your legs. It's like, I'm going to walk you. You don't do that. And we discussed this the last time we were together, which was Sunday. I don't like this sort of behavior. I do not like it. And I know, I've been disabled since I was 4. So I know that out in the world, if you have a disability, people tend to have a confusion about your personal space. I'm going to say it that way. I think for the most part, people mean well. And I never objected when my friends would grab my shirt tail and pull me back if I was stepping out into the street. No. Because we don't object when our friends do something like that. But if a total stranger comes up to me, puts their hands on me, no, that's not okay. And the fact that I have a disability does not give anyone license to redirect my movements, even if they feel they can do a better job of it. The polite thing to do is speak to someone. It's that simple. Do you mind if I move your wheelchair? Do you mind if I grab your shirt tail and yank you back out of traffic? Whatever it may be. The fact of the matter is, you just don't get special license to treat someone like they are a wayward toddler simply because they have a disability. And I guess that's the part that I find the most irritating about it, is doing something like that is very paternal. It's like, you are disabled, therefore you are immature, therefore I can treat you as if you were a small child. The answer to that is no. And I was surprised by the extent to which non-disabled people immediately cottoned on to this and said, no, that's not okay. And it's like, well, good for the non-disabled world. I am so glad that people can see the absolute inappropriateness of this. And it only furthers my basic contention that neither Nutmeg nor the sock puppet have any particular affinity for people with disabilities. They don't seem to understand what's going on in terms of the way a person with disabilities relates to the outside world, or the things that are okay to do with a person who is disabled. Now, obviously, if you get their permission, you can do anything you want. But in terms of out in the real world, no permission? No. People with disabilities have the same rights as anyone else. And if you wouldn't walk up to a stranger and grab them, you don't get to do it just because they're in a wheelchair. Nevertheless, I was pleased that there was a response to this, and I certainly hope that this will open the door for more responses to the way these two interface with the disabled community, because I just find it patronizing. I really do, and I don't like it. It offends me. So that's the first one. And then at the Invictus opening game ceremony, apparently the sock puppet invited his charming wife up onto the stage to sing a song for everyone. Well, I can tell you absolutely, my cat is deeply grateful that that did not happen, because he hates the sound of her voice. So do a great many people, and Nutmeg cannot sing. So she declined his offer, which the media described as playful, and I would have to say, no, not hardly. If any one of us were in the same situation and our partner, our significant other, our spouse, our whatever, our person of significance said, come on up and sing, knowing full well that we cannot carry a tune, would any of us consider that playful? I think probably about 10% of us would be heading off for a divorce lawyer, but somewhere in there, maybe 10% would consider it playful. The overwhelming majority of us would certainly consider that to be an aggressive thing to do. Something that, well, if the partner thought it was funny, maybe they ought to re-examine their sense of humor, but the person who's on the receiving end of it is not going to. So, do I think he was being playful? Absolutely not. I think he was putting Nutmeg in her place, because this apparently followed a performance by Michael Bublé. Now, I am not a Michael Bublé fan, not my generation, not my kind of music. No. I will make all of our Australian friends very happy and let you know, Johnny O'Keefe all the way. Yes, I like old rock and roll, like the really old stuff. So Michael Bublé? No, I don't think so. But the man has a very good voice and a very powerful voice. And asking anyone to get up on stage after his performance and sing can only be viewed as, well, if not a joke, and not a playful one either, as a jab. So I would have to say, clearly, what they are displaying, and we're going to hit that in a moment, to the world in terms of their wonderful close relationship, well, the anger is simmering just beneath the surface. Shortly after that, it was decided that Nutmeg would be going back home to California to be with their alleged children. So, yeah. And when has she ever wanted to abandon the spotlight in favor of the kiddos? It hasn't happened. So clearly something went wrong. I personally think it was the sock puppet's invitation to his charming wife to get up and show her complete lack of talent to the entire world, and I'm sure he got quite a little private chuckle out of that. Display. I found a headline from the Daily Mail, and they were discussing how affectionate Nutmeg and the sock puppet seem, and how their marriage must be in good shape, blah, 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 blah. But they described it as a public display of being loved up. Article, as all the articles, they're all in the video notes. And that was the word I focused on, display. This is a display. And whether or not the Daily Mail intended us to take that message away from this, they put it out there. So, did they do it intentionally, or was this kind of a little bit of a Freudian slip? I don't know. I really do not know. The Daily Mail goes back and forth. Sometimes they will have articles very favorable to Nutmeg and the sock puppet. Sometimes they will slam them, and slam them hard. But by talking about the display of their loved up, look at us, look how happy we are, we're so joyful, they did hit the nail on the head. It is a display. This is a public performance. We know Nutmeg has been making public performances, Lord, ever since the child could walk. She's been doing this. It's all about the drama, all about the performative nature of anything she is into. There is nothing real here. It is all performance. So, yes, of course it is a display. But now I think we're starting to see that the sock puppet is just as guilty of engaging in these public displays as she is. He is just as willing to go out there, sacrifice whatever his real feelings are for the sake of that all-important public image that they need to project. And shame on him for that. I mean, really, shame on him for that. But apparently he's not above throwing in a little jab when he can. Now, do I blame him for this? No, of course not. Nutmeg's entire purpose in being at the Invictus Games is to steal the limelight from the sock puppet, from the athletes, from the charity, from anybody and anything. Anyone who might have otherwise been eligible for a headline, oh no, it's going to be hers instead. So, yeah, we know she does this, but until recently, I did not see the sock puppet actively engaging in this sort of behavior. Does he enable the little woman? Well, heavens, yes. But this extent of playing along is kind of new, and quite frankly, I don't find it all that charming. So, moving away from that, let's take a look at Nutmeg's American Riviera Orchard. And that is allegedly, because remember, they say things are going to happen. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. American Riviera Orchards was debuted a year ago. So it's important to remember, just because this is what the talk is right now doesn't necessarily mean this is what the outcome will be. But allegedly, at this point, Netflix is going to be marketing the American Riviera Orchard products in their brick-and-mortar stores. And the stores are going to be in Pennsylvania and Texas. So it's like Philadelphia, King of Prussia, Philadelphia suburb, and Dallas. And I found this very interesting. By the way, we do have a short article about this that I will play for you in a few minutes. It's like I say, it's a short article, but it encapsulates all the high points because this one came from a publication that tends to synthesize the news gathered from other sources. And they very kindly read it. I don't like the reading, but still, they very kindly read it for us. So I thought we would take a look at it because we can get all of that information in a short 5-minute article. But back to Pennsylvania and Texas. So that's where the 2 brick and mortar stores are located. And Netflix will be selling things like Stranger Things t-shirts, which you can get just about anywhere, by the way. I see those on the streets all the time. And other things from Netflix shows. So we'll have to see how well that goes over. It reminds me, at least conceptually, of a store that used to be in American malls. My American viewers will probably remember this. For those of you overseas, I'm going to give you a quick encapsulation. It was called As Seen on TV, or Spencer Gifts. They had 2 stores that basically did the same sort of thing. You had those infomercial products that people would call in when they'd see the television show. Oh, I must have that 3-way windshield wiper I just saw advertised. That sort of thing. And they brought it from telephone orders over TV shows to a brick and mortar enterprise, the As Seen on TV stores, Spencer Gifts, things like that. And mostly it's junk. And these are stores that ended up with a reputation in the U.S. of being junk stores. You would go in, you would get cheap products that were retailing for low prices, $7.99, $19.99. It was always $99. So, and I guess they had a bit of business for a while. And they were in most of the major malls, but the time passed for that sort of thing. And stores like this were replaced, frankly, by dollar stores in most areas. But that seems to be what Netflix is planning on cooking up. I was also rather surprised by the idea that they were going to shopping malls, because shopping malls in the U.S. are dying. This is something that was huge in the 80s and the 90s. It started in the late 60s, but it really took hold. 80s, 90s, that's where every teenager in the country spent their free afternoons. And then as the 21st century came along, it started going down, and 2020 essentially killed off what little was left of it. And we now have malls in our country that are totally abandoned. They're practically tourist attractions, not because you can shop there, but come look at the abandoned mall. So I think that's sort of a mistake on Netflix's part. But putting Nutmeg's products in stores in these 2 locations is a bigger mistake for totally different reasons. You see, Pennsylvania and Texas are what are designated now as red states. And again, for our friends overseas, red states are the states that are traditionally inclined to vote Republican. They are more conservative in their political leanings. Blue states are more inclined to vote Democratic and tend to be more liberal in their political leanings. And this is a new concept, came up about 20, 25 years ago. Oh, it's not that new. For me, it's new. Okay, yes. Anything after like 1976, and I consider it brand spanking new. So relatively, in my terms, relatively new concept. And I had a hard time figuring out which were the red states and which were the blue states and what it meant until this very, very simple mnemonic occurred to me. R, red, Republican. That's how you keep it straight. So the red state, beginning with an R, is the state closely associated with the Republican Party, again, beginning with an R. So I'm passing that mnemonic on to you because I don't doubt that some of you like me, are sitting around scratching your head saying, wait, which is which? Well, yes, Pennsylvania and Texas are red states, meaning this is not a population that is inherently very sympathetic to Nutmeg and her woke ideology. This is not her fan base. Do I think this is going to be successful for her? Well, based on that alone, I would have to say absolutely not. And I don't blame Nutmeg. I don't blame Netflix for doing that. And by the way, I have been conflating Netflix and Nutmeg for a long time. Netflix, Nutmeg, I have been doing that, which really tells me the extent to which I am just combining those two in my head. Not a good move for Netflix, because I actually do like some of their programming, but if I start associating them exclusively with Netflix, Nutmeg, and I am sorry, that was not deliberate. That is just what is going on in my head, spilling out of my mouth before I have a chance to filter it. If I start associating Netflix with Nutmeg, then I'm probably going to spend a whole lot less time watching Netflix. So, probably not the smartest move they could have made. But do I understand why? Well, yeah. They've sunk a boatload of money into Nutmeg and the sock puppet, particularly Nutmeg, and they're going to take losses. So I think it's reasonable that they're going to do what they can to support Nutmeg in her private ventures if they think it's going to help the show she did with them. With love, Meghan. And I get it. I get why they would do it. Do I think it's a smart move for them? Absolutely not. Do I think anybody with a brain in their head would think that putting Nutmeg's products so closely associated with a woman who hates our president, and you don't have to love our president, not saying that, but if you're a member of the British royal family, you would damn well better keep your mouth shut about it if you don't like him. And that's not my rule. That's the British royal family's rules, and Nutmeg just doesn't want to play. So, yeah, she hates the president. Let's throw her products into traditionally Republican markets. Yeah, probably not the best strategy for selling goods. But, hey, they've done it, and if it collapses on them, so be it. So, let's take a quick look at the article. As I say, it's like about 5 minutes long, but it will give you all of the facts, and it will cite some sources if you want to do some additional reading. So here you go.
Meghan Markle's jam to be sold in Netflix department stores at u.s.megamalls.report. Meghan Markle fans may finally be able to enjoy a taste of her luxury Montecito lifestyle, specifically her famous American Riviera Orchard strawberry jam that she teased nearly a year ago, even though she didn't seem to have any products ready to sell. A new Daily Mail report said that jars of Meghan's jam, as well as some of her other American Riviera Orchard food and lifestyle products, will be sold at new brick-and-mortar stores that Netflix is opening up in 2 mega malls in Pennsylvania and Dallas. The streaming service announced last June that it would be opening department store-sized entertainment venues called Netflix Houses in 2025, at the iconic shopping center in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and at the Galleria in Dallas. The launch of Meghan's products in the Netflix houses will coincide with the venue openings, as well as the release of her Netflix cooking show, With Love, Meghan, the source said. The show was supposed to begin airing on January 15, but Meghan and Netflix decided to delay its release until March 4, due to the deadly Los Angeles wildfires, which swept through Pacific Palisades, Altadena, and Pasadena. Meanwhile, this week Meghan is in British Columbia with her husband, Prince Harry, as he presides over the Winter Invictus Games, the international sporting competition that he helped create for wounded veterans and servicemen and women. "This is make or break for Meghan," the source told the Daily Mail about launching her products in the Netflix stores. Her new show is rolling out the same time as the Netflix stores open. The venues also will include cafes that serve food inspired by favorite shows, Netflix said. Presumably, the Duchess of Sussex's jam could be served or sold at the cafes, along with her olive oil, coffee, or tea. Desserts or meals viewers see served on her show could perhaps also be on the cafe menus. But how well Meghan's products sell at these Netflix locations could determine the American former TV actor's future with the streaming service, or her success as an influencer and lifestyle guru, the source said. "This will determine the future for Meghan as a businesswoman," the Daily Mail source said. "Let's face it, she hasn't been that successful so far. Thus far, her commercial endeavors haven't fared too well, not since she and Harry left British royal life in 2020 and moved to the United States to pursue careers as media moguls and global do-gooders. They signed a reported $20 million deal with Spotify to produce uplifting, informative podcasts, but Meghan only managed to release one 12-episode series called Archetypes. Their reported $100 million deal with Netflix initially turned out to be more successful, with the blockbuster ratings for their 2022 Harry and Meghan docu-series, but critics said viewers only watched because they wanted to hear the couple dish dirt about royal life and Harry's famous relatives. Their subsequent Netflix projects, which featured no royal gossip, barely registered or were critically savaged, notably their recent docu-series Polo, about Harry's rich polo-playing friends. Meghan's cooking show, With Love, Meghan, reportedly got little mention at Netflix's star-studded event in Los Angeles in late January to announce the service's 2025 programming. Vanity Fair also had just published a lengthy and damning story about Meghan and Harry's American hustle, which, among other things, portrayed Meghan as bullying her subordinates at Spotify and Netflix. Comedian John Mulaney also got in a dig at Meghan and Harry's content creator aspirations when he talked about his own upcoming talk show, Everybody's Live with John Mulaney, and its vague premise of having a panel of eclectic guests sit in front of a camera and engage in a freewheeling conversion. Mulaney praised Netflix for believing in his show. "This is a really fun experiment," he added. "Not since Harry and Meghan has Netflix given more money to someone without a specific plan." Mulaney, of course, was referring to Netflix famously signing a splashy, 5-year deal with Meghan and Harry to make documentaries, feature films, scripted shows and children's programming. Netflix made this deal with the Sussexes, despite the fact they had zero experience in developing or producing movies or TV shows. So now, Netflix is waiting to see if Meghan's lifestyle show succeeds, though sources suggest that the show won't include any actual recipes, the Daily Beast reported. Instead, it offers a magical and beautiful guide to hosting and entertaining, with Meghan entertaining her celebrity friends. As for Meghan's lifestyle brand, Netflix's reported willingness to begin selling her products at its mall stores raises the question of whether American Riviera Orchard has already cleared some of the trademark hurdles that have reportedly delayed the brand's launch. The Daily Mail report didn't address the issues the brand has had with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. As recently as November, Meghan's brand was hit with a protest from Harry and David, the famed Southern Oregon giftbox company, which said that the name American Riviera Orchard was too similar to the trademark given to their Royal Riviera brand of pears that it grows and sells during the holidays.
So once again, I really have to point out that so far, this is just something in the range of talk. We will see it if and when it happens, but so many things that have come out of the Sussex camp have failed to materialize, and I am very reluctant to put this information out. Oh yeah, Netflix is promoting Nutmeg's products. Very reluctant to put this out as a hard and fast fact, mostly because the primary sources of this are Nutmeg. And when you start dealing with Nutmeg, you are not dealing with a source known for its veracity. What can I say? We'll certainly have to wait and see. Okay, so that is what I have for you today. We are going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. I'm going to find something happy and lively. Catherine, let's do Catherine today. We're going to have something happy and lively and very beautiful. So I hope to see you all next time. And in the meanwhile, have a terrific day.